Most of us think that we know ourselves really well, but we all have subconscious biases. These are generally formed from past experiences, interactions with our peer groups, maybe what we've seen on media sources from television to social media, and they seep into our subconscious and impact the way that we make decisions. Some of the more common ones that will impact financial decisions are overconfidence, familiarity, loss aversion, and mental accounting. Today we wanted to spend just a few moments to briefly touch on these so that you can be more aware of the traps that you may fall into when trying to stay on track. So first, overconfidence. This can come into play when we start thinking about, I've always been really healthy, and so we don't plan for the eventualities like disability, early death, or rising healthcare costs. The next bias that we want to touch on is familiarity. This is the tendency to nest ourselves in our comfort zones and stick with what we know because it's familiar, it seems safe, and we feel that we have an intimate understanding of it. The problem here is that especially when you're building up your financial plan, it can cause you to be under-diversified and to avoid things just because you've never experienced them before. The third bias is loss aversion. This is not just about preferring a gain over a loss, but more on avoiding losses above everything else. It's the fear that seeps in after a bear market that causes people to bail out and never get back in. Finally, we want to address mental accounting. This is the bias that makes us think that money from some sources is different from others. Oftentimes we see this with how people handle money from an inheritance over money that they earned from working. It really shouldn't make a difference when it comes to your financial plan on where each dollar came from, but it's oftentimes easier to spend money that we weren't expecting than money that we had to pour our blood, sweat, and tears into earning. Of course, there are other biases out there as well, and many of us have ones that are very personal to us. But these big four are the ones that we see most frequently when helping people to develop financial plans and, more importantly, helping them stay on track and stick to those plans. The best thing to do is make yourself aware of the traps that you're most frequently feeling vulnerable to and the biases that you find creeping into your decision-making process. It's important to take some time to reflect on your own subconscious biases. Be honest with yourself about what's driving your decision-making process. For a lot of people, it can be helpful to work with a professional, someone who can aid in maintaining that objectivity and keep you on track so that you don't let these biases derail your financial planning.